On today's show,
it's all about the future of the Atlantic salmon.
So, ready to make a difference?
Building a better planet starts with you.
Aqua Kids, traveling around the world, going where we've never been before, having fun and so much more, learning from our friends of the sea, saving them is up to you and me. Aqua Kids.
Hey everyone at home, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Aqua Kids. I'm Drew.
and I'm Katie. On today's show, we get to travel all over Maine learning about the very critically endangered Atlantic salmon.
Unfortunately, wild Atlantic salmon populations are declining rapidly, and scientists aren't sure why.
That's right, but today we get to speak with a ton of professionals who are working hard to restore the salmon populations to a self-sustaining level.
Looks like we got our day's work cut out for us. Let's get started.
Okay. Hey Clark, I'm really excited to see all the salmon up here in Maine.
Actually, Katie, salmon in Maine are endangered.
Why?
I really don't know, but we're going to check in with Drew and Selena to find out why.
All right, let's go.
Drew, Selena, here's the Narragansett River in down East Maine.
Hey guys, what are you up to?
Well, Lori was just about to tell us what the issue is with salmon in the river.
Well, this is the home of the Atlantic salmon, which is federally listed as an endangered species, and that's because it's not doing too well. This is one of a number of rivers in Maine where the salmon lives, and the salmon has a really amazing lifestyle. It spawns, it reproduces in streams like this, then it goes out to sea for 2 or 3 years, comes all the way back to the same stream where it was born, and swims up the stream to do it all over again. And there are some issues, though, why it was actually endangered.
And what are those issues?
Well, a species is listed under the Endangered Species Act it's got to have some really good reasons. And this particular species has been just decimated by something that's going on in the ocean. We call it marine or estuarine survival, but for some reason, once they go out to sea, something happens to them.
So what happens when the salmon get out to the ocean? Why are they suddenly dying?
That is a great question. That is the $64,000 question. We're not really sure. It might be related to the changing climate. It might be related to changing currents. But what they do is they migrate up to Greenland, Iceland area and grow until they're the large size, and then they come back. And something happens to them between when they leave the estuary and get up there.
It's scary to think that when the salmon and other migratory fish species finally get out to the ocean, they suddenly die.
I know. If things continue this way, populations could decline to irreparable numbers.
Luckily, research is being done to learn more about why these fish are mysteriously dying.
Hopefully, scientists will be able to find a solution to this problem before it becomes too late. Aqua Kids presents another Aqua Kids Pop Quiz. A coral reef is a submerged structure formed from countless small marine invertebrates, creating amazingly rich and diverse ecosystems. There are many coral reefs throughout the world, covering nearly 110,000 square miles of ocean floor. Do you know what the largest coral reef in the world is? Is it A, the Red Sea Coral Reef, B, the Great Barrier Reef, or C, the New Caledonia Barrier Reef? Grab your snorkel gear, and I'll be back with the answer after the break. Okay, let's dive back into our pop quiz. Did you guess which coral reef is the largest in the world? The answer is B, the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is located in the Coral Sea near Australia and stretches over 1,500 miles long. In second place is the Red Sea Coral Reef at nearly 1,200 miles long. And third place goes to the New Caledonia Barrier Reef at over 930 miles long. We're here at the VZ Dam on the Penobscot River, where there's a fish ladder used to collect Atlantic salmon.
After they catch the salmon, they do a biological workup to find needed information before they go to the hatchery.
Well, Katie and Clark are doing one right now, so let's go check in with them.
Let's go.
We are here at the VZ Dam, where biologists from the Maine Department of Marine Resources are traveling over to a fishway by cable car. It is necessary that the biologists travel by cable car because the fishway is stationed so close to the dam. Traveling by boat would be very dangerous, for in the event of someone falling overboard during a high flow, the person would be swept over the dam. As the biologists reach the fishway, they secure the trap so no more fish can enter or leave. Now that the trap is secured, The biologists are capturing each fish with a large clear tube and quickly transferring them to the fish tank on the boat.
So what's going on here?
Well, we're doing a biological workup for the salmon so we can collect information like length, gender, origin, whether it's a hatchery fish or a wild fish. We'll mark it with a fin punch so we know we've counted it, as well as put a pit tag in it, passive integrated transponder. It's identification number that we can use to track the fish at the hatchery, as well as if we ever catch it back here again, we'll know we've handled it before.
So why do you put the head in the bag?
Well, that helps keep the fish calm so we can handle it. Sometimes you might see they'll get really kind of rowdy, and they do like to jump out. So he just took the length, now he's taking a fin punch.
So what is the main purpose of all of this?
Well, we're collecting the fish for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service hatchery. They'll spawn them in October, November, and raise fish for the river. So all the fish that the hatchery puts back into the river originally comes out of the river.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to raise different life stages: fry, par, and smolts. And they'll all get stocked back in the river next year.
So who is involved in this project?
Well, there's a lot of collaborators with the Atlantic Salmon Restoration in Maine. I work for the Maine Department of Marine Resources. We also have people from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That's where these fish are going to go. They run the hatchery. And we have National Marine Fisheries Service is also involved. So it's 2 federal agencies, state agencies. And we also have a lot of other NGO partners out helping to restore Atlantic salmon.
Well, it seems like their population is really in a lot of trouble.
It is, and that's why they've been listed by the federal government as an endangered species, and that's why we have a lot of involvement with the hatchery. And the hatchery is really working to prevent extinction right now. So we collect the fish, they come back, because the survival in the hatchery of their offspring, it's like 90%, whereas survival in the wild is like 1%. So we can get,
Huge difference.
we can get a lot more fish.
Right.
But there's trade-offs. There's domestication effects in the hatchery, mate selection. There's a lot of different things that we'd much rather see the fish spawning in the wild on their own to restore them, and that's our ultimate goal: have self-sustaining wild populations. So, but until marine survival and freshwater survival increase, we need the hatcheries to help bridge the gap.
We're here with Dan McCaw, a biologist for the Penobscot Indian Nation. So tell us, what's the importance of the dam behind us and what will be happening to it?
Well, as you can hear today, the VZ Dam is being removed as part of a larger effort to restore the Penobscot River. Not only the river itself, but also all the fish that live in the river, and the fish that come in from the ocean that use the Penobscot River.
So what's being done to help restore the river?
Well, 2 dams are being removed on the river, the lowest 2 dams, and in addition to that, new fishways are being built onto the river to help provide fish access to their spawning habitat.
That's good. What species will benefit from this restoration?
Well, there are several species that'll benefit, including the Atlantic salmon, American shad, blueback herring, the alewife, American eel, the rainbow smelt, and a host of others that will all benefit from this restoration.
Are there sturgeon too?
Yes, we have 2 species of sturgeon here, the Atlantic sturgeon and the short-nosed sturgeon.
And how are they doing in the wild?
Well, there's not a lot known about them, but researchers, including the University of Maine, are studying them all the time, and they seem to be doing okay.
Well, you're doing a lot of great things for the wildlife here, and it sounds like the people of Maine and the Indian Nation could really be grateful.
I think you're right, Drew.
It was very interesting to learn how biologists are trying to maintain wild Atlantic salmon populations by actually taking some fish out of the river and using them for stock in the hatchery.
That's right, Katie. Once the scientists capture these fish, they're able to spawn more salmon in the hatchery and then eventually release them back into the wild.
That's right. It seems that there has been a lot of success already with this project, but let's hope it continues and that one day Atlantic salmon will once again be self-sustainable.
Welcome back to Aqua Kids.
We're headed to the hatchery in Maine, where Drew gets the opportunity to do some hands-on work with the salmon we just caught. We're here at Craigbrook Hatchery in East Orland, Maine, where the salmon have just arrived.
The biologists here are checking for infectious salmonemia, which is a deadly disease the salmon may be carrying.
That's right. Let's go check in with Drew and see what that process entails.
Let's go.
I'm here with Chris and Dan. So guys, I got the rain gear on. What are we going to be doing?
Well, we're going to be taking some samples of some sea-run Atlantic salmon from the Penobscot River. We're here at the Craigbrook National Fish Hatchery, and we're going to be taking some lengths, weights, and blood samples from these fish.
So how do we do it?
Well, Dan's going to catch one of these fish that have just come in from the river. We're going to anesthetize the fish, and then we're going to run it through this scanner to check the pit tag of the fish, and then we're gonna take some lengths and weights.
All right, well, let's do it.
All right.
All right. Got one already in the bag here.
Nice.
So. Now, you want to hold this end up real high.
All right.
You run it over to him, keep this end low, and he will scan it.
All right. Over here.
Now, bring it over here, just dump it in head first like that.
All right.
We put a little bit of powder in the water here, which is a anesthetic. It's going to put the fish to sleep so that while we handle it, it doesn't jump out or hurt itself. Okay, so what Dan's doing now is the fish is starting to fall asleep. He's going to try to determine the sex of the fish, whether it's a male or a female. This fish happens to be a grilse, which is a young salmon, has only gone to the ocean for 1 year. Most of the adults that we get have been at the ocean for 2 years, and they're going to be 8 or 10 pounds. He's also looking for fin clips, so we can determine if it was released from the Green Lake Fish Hatchery as a smolt. If it was from natural reproduction or from fry stocking, we won't be able to tell that by a mark that's visible to us. He's going to go over there. He's going to get a length of the fish, the fork length of it, the total length of it, and a weight of it.
All right.
151. 53 and a half. 56 and a half.
He's about to take the blood sample from the fish, and he inserts the needle to try to look for the vein in the fish. And once he inserts the needle, he presses the tube down, which creates the vacuum to suck the blood out. You can see there he took the sample. We're going to take 2 samples of 200 milliliters, which will go down to our fish health unit, and they will screen it for what we're looking for, which is ISA.
What is ISA?
ISA is infectious salmon anemia, and what the fish health unit does is it screens whether the fish has any symptoms or signs of it, or it's been exposed to it, because there's pathogenic and non-pathogenic strains of the disease. So we're just screening the fish to make sure that they don't have it. Okay, Drew, so what we're going to have you do is we're going to have you get right in the tank with the fish and capture one of the fish in the bag to hand out to us to anesthetize.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
That sounds awesome.
Yep. The bottom might be slippery, so be careful getting in.
All right.
And it looks like your pants are drooping down.
They're falling down. I'll pull these up. There we go.
All right. The object in it here is to take this bag, get some water in it, put it down towards the bottom, take your other hand and try to guide the head of the salmon into the bag.
Okay. So I'm gonna come around and get
So
this
set the bag right down there. You want to take one of your free hands.
free hands again.
Yep. So hold it like this with one hand. Let the bottom sink right in there.
All right.
And then take your opposite hand and then try to guide it in there.
Hold on, come on.
Come on.
This might take a little while.
So set the bag right. Actually, I'll hold the bag for you.
All right, and I'll lead them in.
Yep.
All right, come on.
Take it. There you go.
There we go. Oh, got him.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
Nice job, Drew.
Thank you.
All right, we'll drain most of the water out.
So one of the neat things about these fish, Drew, is that they have a very strong urge to migrate back to where they were released from or where they were born. And so this fish is trying its best to get back up the river. And you can see it's had to go through many obstacles to get there. And some of the scratches on it could be from predators trying to catch it, seals, jumping up over rocks and things, over waterfalls to get where it needs to go. So some of those marks you're seeing on the fish are just from its incredible journey to get back to where it's headed.
That's amazing. It's amazing how they can get home.
It is,
How they
and
know
to
how.
find their way back from Greenland thousands of miles away.
Wow. All right. Nice and tight.
Yep. Set it in the center first. Okay, take your hands right off the, nope. We'll get a weight first.
Okay.
Take your hands off the board. 3, 4, 2. Now let's roll it this way. slide the head all the way to that end of the board. Like I mentioned earlier, this is fork length, which is 75 and a half. And then we'll take total length, which is going to be 80 and a half. All right, now pick the fish up the same way. Bring it back over to the tub.
This one?
Yep. All right, Drew, we're getting ready to take the blood from the fish, where this is the sharp object. You want to make sure you put goggles on in case the fish kicks. The needle could come out and hit you in the eyes.
Ow.
All right, grab the caudal fin of the fish. Where you've got the fish by the caudal fin now, you want to go straight into that lateral line right there. Go straight in till you hit the backbone. Feel it?
I think I got it, yep.
Okay, now push the vacuum container down in. All right, we seen any blood in the tube?
I don't think so.
Look at that.
Oh, nice.
He's a pro.
Yes.
All right, now that's set to only pull so much.
Okay.
So once you see it where it's kind of stopped filling up, which is about right there, pull the whole tube out.
All right.
Yeah.
Clot him a little bit.
Slip this back on the end. All right. Now turn and hand that to Coley.
There we are. Welcome.
All right, now we'll take that fish and put it back over in the fresh water. Basically, Drew, while you're doing this, we just took it out of the anesthetic over there where it was asleep. You can see the gills are starting to move them. What we're doing is the fresh water is get some oxygen across its gills.
I see.
And that will help it out. And within 2 to 3 minutes after being out of the tub, it will come back upright again and be breathing fine.
Drew, what was it like to actually be a part of taking those samples?
I've got to say, it was a lot harder than it looks. I have to give those biologists some credit. It isn't very easy.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do that job. Luckily, someone can, though. The information that the scientists collect is so important to be able to determine the problems facing salmon populations.
That's right, Katie. It also allows them to be able to create a game plan, so to speak, on how they can help increase the health of the populations.
Very true. Don't go away. Aqua Kids will be right back. Here's our top story. The Penobscot River reconnects with the Gulf of Maine. On Monday, July 22, 2013, history was made. On this day, contractors began to remove the infamous VZ Dam, an 830-foot-long dam that stretches across the Penobscot River in Maine. The removal of the VZ Dam was a tremendous step in the Penobscot River Restoration Project, which, over the past few years, has worked hard to improve over 1,000 miles of spawning, rearing, and nursery habitat for the endangered Atlantic salmon, as well as many other species. The removal of the dam, which will reconnect the Penobscot with the Gulf of Maine for the first time in generations, will allow endangered short-nosed sturgeon, Atlantic sturgeon, striped bass, rainbow smelt, and tomcod to access 100% of their historic habitat. The partners involved in this project should be applauded for the impact they are making in not only the lives of so many fish, but also on the local and regional environment. I'm Katie with Aqua News, keeping you connected to our planet. Now back to Aqua Kids. So I thought that while we were here at Craig Brook Hatchery, we would get a little tour of the facility. So Chris, tell us what goes on here.
Great, let me show you what we do here at the Craig Brook Hatchery. We have different rooms of incubation for 6 of the Down East rivers for Atlantic salmon. Each of the rooms that are behind us here is where we incubate up to 2 million eggs for 6 of the Down East rivers.
Wow, that's a lot.
We also incubate about 2 million eggs for the Penobscot River. And we also have several different life stages of the Atlantic salmon here in the facility, which we keep with us until we can take eggs from those fish.
Amazing.
The room that we're about to go in up here is for the Sheepscut River, and we actually raise about 15,000 0+ par a year.
And what does that mean?
A par is the life stage of the Atlantic salmon when they're in the freshwater.
Oh, okay.
So we'll keep them till they're about 3 or 4 inches long before we release them.
In general, how many eggs does a female Atlantic salmon lay?
Well, here at the Craig Brook Fish Hatchery, we spawn over 3 million eggs a year as a whole hatchery.
Wow.
But each female salmon, she usually gives us about 1,000 eggs per pound of her weight.
Wow.
So a 10-pound fish would have about 10,000 eggs.
We're out of time for today's episode of Aqua Kids.
I know. We sure did learn a lot, though, about the Atlantic salmon.
Yeah, we really did. It's so sad to see that an amazing species like the Atlantic salmon is in such grave danger, with an only 1% survival rate in the wild.
It really is horrible. Luckily, however, people at the Maine Department of Marine Resources, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Craig Brook Hatchery, National Marine Fisheries Service, and many other organizations are putting countless hours of hard work into restoring the salmon populations.
Absolutely, Drew. You know, it's people like them that help us to remember that everyone can do their part to keep this planet green and blue.
And so can you.
So visit our website for cool eco tips.
And fun links to show you how we can keep the world
And the water, a great place to play and explore.
And we'll see you next time
On Aqua Kids.
All right.
All right, guys, we're gonna turn the set off. Nap time.